Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Brothers Discuss. I'm Alex,
And I am Chris.
and we're continuing our MCU marathon. We're at the end of Phase 2, and it is AntMan. So, AntMan, what are your thoughts on AntMan?
Um, I like it, but it should have been someone else in the director's seat.
Yeah, we'll get into that, I guess. We'll talk about that.
But overall, I think it's fine. It gets a little too comical. I don't like Yellow Jacket, like at all. I love the performance. I forgot the actor's name again, but
Corey Stoll.
Corey Stoll. He's so over the top. It's great. That's the only memorable thing about him. But
Yeah.
But I love the stuff with Scott and his daughter. Hank Pym's also great in here. There's a lot of great stuff in this movie, but it does get a tad bit generic at too many points.
Sure. I like AntMan. It's a bit of fun. I think it's a fine movie. I will admit, I do think there's, they do pause, like these moments where this little girl is in danger to have a chuckle about the giant ant attacking the stepfather, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get those bits of the comedic moments don't really do a whole lot for me. But you brought up Yellow Jacket. I really like Corey Stoll. I like his performance.
Yes.
But his character was like the whole like, oh, the particles are affecting your brain. Like, when has he shrunk before? Like, I feel like there's a.
I guess it's just his exposure during his testing.
I don't know.
I guess.
See, I feel like there was a script, obviously with Edgar Wright, and it's like elements of that script were left into this script, but they don't work out of context. Like if there was a scene where he got into the suit, something like that, that'd be one thing. But he's already this evil guy that's dealing with Hydra, apparently, like long before he develops his shrinking technology.
Yeah.
Like he spends most of the film shrinking those goats that keep turning to jelly, and then he finally makes it work, but he's been this bad, ruthless guy all this time leading up to it.
Yeah.
Like in that there's that like the RoboCop bathroom scene where he fully kills that guy.
It's because of the particles. He was never an insane guy.
Okay.
But don't you remember the scene where he didn't kill anyone? Like that one scene where he wasn't a bad guy?
Jeez. But it's like he hasn't invented his version of the pin particles yet because, I mean, like he turned that guy to Jell-O.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Corey. But I really like Corey Stoll from, I liked him a lot from House of Cards, and I really enjoyed him in this role. And I'll go ahead and say right now, I really, really like Paul Rudd in this role.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a bit.
He's great.
Yeah. I thought for the tone of the film and the tone of the character, I thought he was really perfect casting.
Oh, yeah.
Something I want to address real quick. How do you feel about the Falcon scene in this film? Because I think this is clearly not part of Edgar Wright's original vision of the film.
Very clear. Yeah, this is definitely Marvel. Like, we got to connect this somehow.
It is.
It's a fun sequence, and it's like, all right, yeah, why not? Ant-Man and Falcon fighting each other, but it doesn't really have to be in the movie. Not so much.
See, that's the funny thing. That scene is actually, funnily enough, one of my favorite scenes in the film.
Really?
Surprisingly, perhaps. It is. Yeah, it is definitely a case where it's like it was definitely included just to, throw in more connections to the MCU.
Sure.
But I think it's a fun sequence, and I'm glad of all the Avengers that Ant-Man could have fought, I'm glad it was Falcon.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, if Vision came out there, he would have died. He would have fully died.
True.
But no, I think that's a fun sequence. And I also, going off somewhere else, I really like Michael Douglas in this film quite a bit.
I thought
he was excellent. I mean, Michael Douglas is always excellent. Like, newsflash. But on Michael Douglas, I will say this movie has the best facial effects I've ever seen in my life at the beginning
Yeah,
when Douglas comes in and he's young. Like,
it's so good.
wow. Like, I mean, with visual effects and CGI, you can always tell it's not real. Like, honest to God, this is the first time I've looked at that and I was like, no way. Like, it looks so good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like, compare that to, like, I don't know, like Rogue One, like Tarkin or Leia. Like, that's awful. They clearly
Good
look like a
God.
video game.
Rogue One
But
Tarkin haunts me. It's so bad.
but no, like the Michael Douglas in here, like it looks so convincing. It's like they shot this scene in the 80s. I think Marvel are doing some of the best effects in terms of humans. Like
It took
I
30 years to make.
like it, yeah. Take that, Boyhood. Like I don't know what trick they're using, but man, they need to patent that shit because I can't explain it. Like Michael Douglas in this makes de-aging actors seem possible. Like Jeff Bridges and Tron Legacy is really jealous right now. Yeah. And it's funny because when I was watching the movie for the first time, I remember like it took me a second because I was like, oh, wait, he's old. That's not what he looks like. Like your mind, at least for me, recognizes that as Michael Douglas. And it took me a second to realize like, no, he does not look like that right now. Like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like even the
Yeah,
effects on like Peggy Carter and the Winter Soldier as well. Like when that came out, I presumed that was makeup. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just it's amazing. You know what it is? It's the actual face technology that Black Widow used in Winter Soldier, and I guess her movie now. Spoilers, like that
Yeah,
technology actually exists, and Marvel does not want you to know about it.
it's been used twice now in Phase 4. It was used in Falcon Winter Soldier.
Wait, when did they use it in Falcon Winter
It
Soldier?
was it was in the finale. Sharon Carter used it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Um, I think one of the best things Marvel have going for them in terms of their universe, I think the history is so well realized. Like Agent Carter, for instance, like I guess we could talk about this real quick to avoid discussion of Agents of Shield. We'll talk about
You
Agent
brought
Carter
it
for a little bit,
up.
but now I'm going to talk about Agent Carter. It's a surprisingly good show.
The
The
first
second
season.
season, the first
Yeah.
season, yes. Second season, not so much. I mean, maybe it's because it is shorter and they didn't have time to mess around like other shows. And the fact that they don't have to worry about bogging themselves down with other stuff going on with Marvel, like it's in this time period where nothing else is set.
Right.
Like, oh crap, Shield's dead. We gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I love seeing these little flashback scenes in like AntMan and stuff like that. I think that's really fun. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's the kind of thing that I mean, Star Wars should be doing instead of, stupid Han Solo prequels, but I guess that now they're going to move in that direction now, so
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure Star Wars will be fine. But back to Ant-Man, I think the biggest problem with this movie is one singular tonal direction. I think at times it wants to be an irreverent, funny movie about a guy who calls himself Ant-Man. And on the other flip end of that, it wants to be a sentimental movie about a guy and his daughter. And I think it's a rewrite away from truly finding its feet because, I mean, I cite this scene in particular to give an example. It's when we're finally practicing with his powers and it's fun and funny, but then we pause it for like a 10-minute scene of melodrama between Evangeline Lilly and Michael Douglas. And it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just doesn't necessarily fit together well.
Sure.
And with the finale, we're being told to feel so many contrasting things. We don't really know how to feel in the end.
Sure. But like my favorite moment in the film is actually in the middle of like this whole Ant-Man training sequence. It doesn't take a 10-minute break like Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne. Instead, it's like very short. It's like 30 seconds. It's like before his next big day of training, Scott just takes the suit and goes to see his daughter. And there's no dialogue. It's just him showing up because he hasn't seen her in, a few days. And just checking up on her. It's the best moment in the whole movie, and it's at a good pace too. It's not overdone. It's only like 30 seconds at most.
You know what's funny? I watched this movie yesterday in preparation for this discussion, and I forgot about that scene.
Okay, you heartless prick.
Wow. But then, yeah, I mean, there's just like a lot of, I don't know, like a lot of the jokes don't really quite work for me, I'm afraid. Like those three wombats, as Michael Douglas calls them, like they have their funny moments, but there's just too much of it for me.
The Luis like flashback sequences that are very Edgar Wright moments
Yeah.
are amazing.
Mm. That's definitely Edgar Wright right there. That's his touch.
Yeah.
And I will say that the final battle of this movie is, honestly, I think it's one of the best in any Marvel movie.
It's
like
very creative. It takes advantage of the world that Ant-Man's been building.
It just shows you the potential that Ant-Man has, and I just think it's very much a phase one type movie, like where we have to set things up, and that's okay, but the small scale action is just brilliantly well realized, and I think there was so much potential here. It just turned into an okay movie, and I think it had license to be a better movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like the action is just, it's so well done. It's like Man of Steel levels of destruction and action, but it's all miniature, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Like the Thomas the Tank fight.
It's great.
Yeah, it is. And I guess that was sort of my initial reaction when I watched this for the first time in theaters. Like I watched it again yesterday, and I actually like it a little more, knowing that, we weren't going to get like 60s Hank Pym like we were initially told, and things like that. I definitely remember going into this film with some expectations, and I'm certainly no Ant-Man expert, but I went into it being excited for a certain aspect. We were told that were going to happen, and some of those things weren't there. So I thought maybe I was disappointed because of that. Like I said, I think it's a fun movie, and I enjoy it, and I love seeing Ant-Man in the other Marvel movies because I like how he interacts with those other characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we got a SpiderMan reference, I guess.
Yeah, we did. It was our first little tease.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Yeah, to me, that felt like such a big moment that was bizarre that it was happening, Like, it's like I don't know how to describe it, but like the fact that we knew we were getting Spider-Man in the MCU, and all we knew at that point was that Tom Holland was playing him in Civil War. And that line made it real. Like, after all this time, when Marvel first got to share the rights, I was like, yeah, I'd give this a week. Like, I was not optimistic about it. Like, I thought Sony were gonna screw it up somehow. So that line was basically confirmation that it's happening. It was real, legitimate confirmation. And I remember thinking, wow, we're actually getting Spider-Man. It was sort of a bizarre feeling after all this time. Marvel's biggest character is entering the biggest film series. Like, he's where he should be. So, yeah. But unfortunately, I don't think it quite worked out in the end. But we'll talk about Spider-Man in our next video.
That's true. We'll be very positive in that video.
There we go. Yeah, we'll bring up some positive things about Spidey in the MCU, and then it'll be all downhill from there.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about with Ant-Man?
Is there much really to talk about? I mean, not too much happens in here. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I like that this is a much more small scale MCU movie.
No pun intended, of course. Nice. Amazing. Yeah, I'm with you there. I appreciate the small scope of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the pun was intended there, of course. I just wish that Edgar Wright got to make this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I obviously when it was announced that Edgar Wright was leaving the movie, I was just like, I was bummed out for sure because I love Edgar Wright. I mean, I think he's one of the best filmmakers currently.
He's definitely one of the most talented visual directors of all time.
Absolutely. And, the fact that he didn't that him and Marvel like had creative differences. I know that's a cliche that a lot of directors that leave projects say that, but there was like it did feel like there was some like legit creative differences there.
Yeah.
So like I didn't want to go into the. I remember I didn't want to go into the movie with like that in the back of my mind, that I didn't want to like imagine like, well, what would the movie be like if Edgar Wright had directed it? But honestly, when I watched the movie for the first time, that was one of the first things that popped in my mind. Is like, would it be great because Edgar Wright still is credited as one of the screenwriters of this film, and I think he's still technically a producer of the film. But like as soon as his name popped up in the credits, I was like, man, what would his movie be like? I think it would have been amazing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we'll never know. Which is a shame.
Quite a shame.
Yes. Anything else on Ant-Man?
Not too sure. Oh,
Yeah.
We got post-credit scenes.
That's true. Yeah, we got. I'll go and say this right now. This is a rant that I legitimately have been dying to say for a while now. So I remember before the movie came out, I was spoiled the mid-credit scene of like the Wasp suit reveal.
Yeah.
And the reason that was because there was a YouTube video that said like Ant-Man post-credit scene explained, and in the thumbnail is the Wasp, the costume, and I was so furious upon seeing that, and I was like, it was in the title, it was like spoilers, obviously, but they put the fucking spoiler in the thumbnail. And I remember I posted a comment on this that got some attention quite a bit at the time. That's like, I wrote like, no, fuck you. You don't get to put spoilers in the title and then put the spoiler in the thumbnail. So that was a proud day of the internet for me. Yeah, I mean, this is still a practice that many like stupid like I don't mean to call these people stupid, but you're stupid. You know what you did.
It's not just that. It's like the fact that you have to make a 10-minute, 1-second video on YouTube explaining a post-credit scene. And post-credit scenes really don't need that much explaining. One, because most of your core audience that's going to stick around for the credits are like your big Marvel fans, so they're probably going to get it anyway. Two, it's post-credit scenes aren't very subtle, so there's not really much to explain.
Yeah, and the thing with this one is that it's very self-explanatory. Like, she's going to get into the Wasp suit. Like,
exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
What do you need explaining?
Right.
So if you're the kind of creator that still makes those kinds of videos where you put the spoiler in the thumbnail, you suck. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you. But anyways, the second one's kind of cool. It was just, I mean, it is just it's a snippet of a scene from Civil War, which I thought was cool.
Right.
Where it gives you the tease that, Ant-Man's going to be involved in this in some capacity.
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else on Ant-Man?
I think that's it. Yeah.
I think that's all my notes right there. I didn't have a whole lot of notes for this one, so yeah, I guess we can get into grades. What is your grade on Marvel's Ant-Man, the movie?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
7 for me as well. It's a good movie. So I guess, since we're at the end of phase 2, do you want to do a ranking of the phase 2 films, the 6 phase 2 films? I'm catching you off guard right now.
Okay.
What is your top 6?
Me on the spot here. Let me try to think about this. Well, Winter Soldier's definitely at top.
Okay.
Then I'd say Guardians.
Then
Ant-Man, Age of Ultron, Dark World, Iron Man 3.
I think mine is almost exactly the same, except the difference is I would actually put Thor: The Dark World before Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
and then Iron Man. Yeah, but then Iron Man 3. Yeah, that is my Iron Man 3 is still to this day my least favorite of phase 2. And one of my least favorites of all time. So yeah, like you, it's Winter Soldier, Guardians, Ant-Man, Dark World, Age of Ultron, and then Iron Man 3. That's my ranking.
Okay.
So yeah, there you go. So thank you everyone for listening in to our discussion of Ant-Man. We'll be back shortly for a retrospective discussion on Captain America Civil War, which is another one of my favorites of the MCU. I gotta be honest. So look forward to that, and we'll see you then. Take care, everyone. Bye.